Rink Rats, what's up? What's going on? We're back. We are live. It is in between periods of the Carolina Hurricanes Chicago Blackhawks hockey game. It's 1-1. Ilya Mikheyev with a big goal. He's had a great season. Anyway, we thought in between periods and headed into the second, you'd enjoy some conversation from us. And so here we are with the four folks that were here last week. I'm Andy Campbell, the Bard, James O'Malley. Sean Fitzgerald is here. What's going on, guys? What's up?
Don't all speak at once.
Yeah, I know. Usually I introduce you guys. My bad. Yeah. Jimmy, what's going on? I like your fresh fade. Heading to Rockford.
Yeah, I'll be heading to Rockford tomorrow. I'll be covering the team. Hopefully get a couple quotes from guys post game. See how they're doing. They're kind of in a rut right now with guys leaving, Sorensen leaving, Nazar leaving, Del Mastro, Slags and Doc. They're trying to find their way out of a tough spot right now. A lot of overtime losses, a lot of bad defensive play, and not a lot of offense. Very very poor offensive games lately for Rockford.
A lot of kid call-ups that have been hurting them.
Yeah, that's the
big club, but yeah, not good for them. So
it's the cost of having good prospects. They go away from the minor leagues a little earlier than they'd like.
Yeah, and Andrew Bard, how we doing, man? You're the one person outside of the city of Kansas City who's happy about the Chiefs moving on to the Super Bowl. Congratulations.
Right. That's right. I'll be in New Orleans next week, but I'm not going to the game. So just going for work. So, but I'll be part of the
cool to be there.
Yeah, it'll be fun festivities all throughout the week.
Awesome. And Sean, what is your hat? What's going on tonight?
So my hat is in honor of Mardi Gras. It is the Nola cakes, the New Orleans baby cakes. It's a defunct minor league team, because for Mardi Gras, the big thing is you put in a cake, you put a baby in there, and then you cut the cake, and whoever gets the baby is the king or queen of Mardi Gras.
Fascinating.
My sister-in-law throws a big party, has for the last 20 plus years. I've been king twice, and I'm not allowed to cut the cake anymore because other people have to win. So, yeah,
cool story, Hansel.
Thanks,
awesome.
Gretel.
Anyway, so folks, we want to talk some Blackhawks hockey right now, and what we want to talk about is a little bit more about the Taylor Hall trade. If you may recall, those of you that listened, Shawnee and I jumped on Friday night right when the trade happened to talk about it. But there's been a lot of commentary and a lot of the why this happened and what is going on, how Taylor Hall found out. I don't know if anyone saw that Pat Maroon interview, where he mentioned he was going to be a healthy scratch and all of a sudden joined in the pregame soccer festivities, and Hall went, "Oh, someone's getting traded. It's probably me." And then Hall was called out like 5 minutes later and was told that he was traded. Anyway, Taylor Hall has commented on it. The Rantanen factor now is kind of creeping back to the Blackhawks right now, and it could be part of the bigger picture. Taylor Hall was traded to Carolina. The Blackhawks were involved in the trade. They were asked to be involved in the trade, is what it sounds like. Got their own third-round pick back. Taylor Hall is gone. The Blackhawks retaining half of Rantanen's very high salary, but at the same time that comes off the books in June. Is a third-rounder back for Hall accurate at this point? That is still into question. Sean and I got into a little bit, but people are still wondering, did they get enough for Hall? Jimmy, what do you say?
Well, obviously they didn't get enough for my hot take, which I said they'd get a first by some miracle in the preseason show. But it's completely fair. This is a pick that the Blackhawks traded away to get Jack Pridham last year from Carolina. They are now basically undoing that somewhat by giving up a guy that had 20-ish points, hadn't had a multi-goal game since like November, was falling down the lineup. He was a fourth liner since Sorensen took over. He's not going to get any more value. In fact, if you waited, he's probably going to get even lesser value.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if I get it, if you look at big picture and you're a little disappointed, but at the end of the day, Blackhawks essentially retained 75% of Taylor Hall's salary to get their own third-round pick back that they traded last year. So they essentially traded 75% of Taylor Hall's contract for Jack Pridham, which at the end of the day, decent value.
Yeah, and got their own pick back.
Yeah. And that pick is going to be 65 through 68. very early third. You're not getting an early third for Taylor Hall. You're not getting a second for Taylor Hall. You're lucky to get a third, and an early third, it's good value. It's good business.
Yeah. And great take. And the retaining of Rantanen's salary, Bardo, does that really matter that much? Everyone's like, oh my God, why would they retain that much of a salary for a guy who's going to Carolina who never even played for the team? Does it matter, though?
I mean, no, it doesn't, because at the end of the day, I mean, they're going to be a dumping ground because they have cap space. And it's not like this is going to be on the books for the next 2 seasons. It's literally on the books for a couple of months. But, just to go back to what Jimmy was saying, I mean, his value was coming down. And, if you saw his comments today, which were written up in The Athletic, he had mentioned that he was happy that he got traded because his ice time was diminishing. So if it just keeps getting less and less to the point where he becomes a healthy scratch on the regular, they're not getting, a third round pick from anybody. And I think the good news is that they got their own third round pick versus a team who is a contender, which would have been like the back of the third round or even a later round. So I think they got the best that they could actually get at this point.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. And Sean, you're moving around a little bit there. But
Yeah, sorry, I had to relocate.
All right, just want to make sure you're good, buddy. But Bardo, that's a good take. The other thing that is, and correct me if I'm wrong, and Sean, jump in here on this one. Getting their own pick back can be important if they decide to try to offer sheet a restricted free agent this summer, similarly to what the St. Louis Blues did to the Edmonton Oilers, where they got Holloway. And who's the other guy they got? The defenseman.
Broberg.
Bob Probert?
No, Broberg. B-R-O.
Probert. Yeah, I thought you said Probert.
I thought you said Probert too.
Yeah. Not bad. I need to enunciate better.
Sean, what does that mean exactly? Can you walk people through kind of the restricted free agency and having your own pick back and offer sheeting someone and what that means?
So, offer sheet. If you offer sheet somebody, and if they accept, so the team has the ability to match. So, for instance, in the Dylan Holloway and Broberg or Probert, whoever you were,
never gonna live that down.
They can match his deal, and then he can't move. If he does move, you have to provide, if it's 1.5 million to 2.9 million, you get one third round pick as compensation. If the salary goes up, so it goes up, it's tiers. It's like 2.9 to 4.5. You get a second rounder, 4.5 to almost 7 million. You get a first and a third, and so on and so forth. So, and if somebody offer sheeted, or if the Hawks offer sheeted somebody a third round pick, their first third round pick would come in handy because that would go to the team if the player accepted the offer.
Right. And so technically this is their first third round pick.
Correct. And everybody, currently the Hawks are second worst in the NHL. So it would be the second pick of the third round. So anywhere, if you're thinking talent wise, it might be a guy who slips out of the second round or somebody who could have been in the second round.
Right.
So as opposed to if you just traded Taylor Hall for Carolina's third round pick, you would be getting a lower pick because Carolina is a better team.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sorry. Say that again, Bart.
I was going to say it's a top 70 pick, which is good.
Yeah. Which is awesome. But I mean, if there's a team in cap crisis and they've got restricted free agents or a restricted free agent that is appealing, and you offer him a contract, you send him an offer sheet, and that team decides not to match it, or they're trying to prioritize other players, that you lose your third round pick, but you get a hell of an NHL player, which is something that the Blackhawks actually really need right now. Which brings us to kind of our next point. Heading into the offseason, what has come up, or what came up today in Chris Wisniewski's article on ESPN, is that the Blackhawks are going to be major buyers in the offseason. And that's the rumors, because they will have the money to do so. They have to get an elite player to play with Connor Bedard. There were even suggestions in the article that Connor Bedard has been somewhat melancholy, I guess you could say, over the Blackhawks situation and not winning games and being in the bottom of the Central. But to that end, the Blackhawks are going to have money to spend. Rantanen is a player whose name is going to come up. If Rantanen is Rantanen the most appealing player on the board for the Hawks right now? And Bardo, Do they throw the kitchen sink at him in the offseason?
Oh, wow. I think you might have to, because if you want to keep the kid happy, because he's up for a contract extension pretty soon, you might want to start spending some meaningful money and not just kind of get some Band-Aid guys that you got last offseason. It's funny because I almost go back to when
they
Rangers
were used Band-Aids. Let's be honest with ourselves.
What's that?
They were used Band-Aids.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you go back to when the Rangers were going through their rebuild and all of a sudden Panarin became available and everyone was like, well, why are they doing that? They're rebuilding and now they're spending all this money. Yes, Panarin wanted to go to the Rangers partly for family reasons, but also it was an opportunity to get a big time player to go along with the rest of the talent that they had, developed. So now this might be a similar situation where, you're going to have Vlasic, you're going to have Bedard and other guys that are going to be coming right behind Nazar, et cetera. So maybe now's the time to add a guy in his prime who I don't know his age off the top of my head, but
28.
28. Okay. So he's got plenty of runway left in his career. So maybe now is the time to do that.
I would agree with that 100%. If you're going to spend big on a free agent, it's now. It has to be this. It has to be this summer. The time to do it is right now. You've got the money. You've got the kids coming up. Rantanen, 29 in October, 100-point guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think that even if you throw a contract at him where in the latter stages of his career, it will not look great, but in the time being, you get 5 or 6 years of unbelievable production from him. Yeah. I think you have to make it the target.
Yeah, and you also can't wait, and you can't say, well, you know what, in 2 years we'll be ready, and X person is going to be in a free agent. You have no idea if that's going to be the case.
There's no guarantees in free
guarantees.
No. And Jimmy, are you of the fabric too? Like, get ahead of this now. Like, be one of the first teams to offer him big and hope that he bites in the event that as free agency moves along, people are like, well, Rantanen's going to Chicago. And then all of a sudden you get other free agents thinking about it, being like, this might be a good place.
Oh, absolutely. This is possibly a Marian Hossa level signing for the Chicago Blackhawks. This is giving the Blackhawks legitimacy, and you're going to come off 3 straight years of top 3 picks. You're going to have one of the deepest farm systems in the league. The salary cap's going up $8-9 million in the offseason. If not this summer, when? Because
right.
Kyle Davidson has done the right thing in the last couple years of just clearing house, getting a ton of assets, and getting a ton of high upside prospects. And he's cleared out the cap. The Blackhawks have a ton of money, way more money than a ton of other teams. You're not going to be in this situation again. And Mikko Rantanen, I'm sorry, there's not going to be a free agent like Mikko Rantanen again.
No,
he's 29 years old at the start of next season. He has a Stanley Cup championship. He has, if not one, a couple 100-point seasons. He's an easy top line winger. It's a perfect match. And I think, if you get him July 1st and if you send out that signal of, all right, we are emerging now, bottom 3 is unacceptable. Like, this is the big signing. Then you're signaling to other players. I'm thinking just off the top of my head, other players in the free agency market that have, that won't demand Rantanen money, but will demand decent money. I'm thinking of guys like Sam Bennett. I'm thinking of who else is out there? I know there's a couple other decent free agents. Brock Besser, Brock Nelson. I mean, those guys you could get in the $6 to $8 million range. You still have so much money.
Ehlers is going to be out there from Winnipeg.
Yeah, Ehlers.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Going to be out there.
Yeah, and I mean, you'll have a ton of money. And if you trade Seth Jones, way more, like an unbelievable amount of money, like Scrooge McDuck swimming in his vault kind of money. Let's use it. I mean, let's get Rantanen July 1st. I'm leading the Rantanen hype train. I'm all in on Rants. I think he's the best player in free agency. I think he's the best fit. I'm praying every day that Carolina does not get him to say yes to this contract.
Score a goal like he just did.
Oh, of course he did.
20 seconds ago.
Here's a pipe dream, and I know it's a pipe dream. Aaron Ekblad is a free agent. I mean, if they really want to spend big, you go get Rantanen or Mitch Marner, and then maybe if you have any money left, you offer Aaron Ekblad something.
Yeah, you got to move Jones then. I mean, you got to.
And I think they have the draft picks to pay the freight on Seth Jones. Like,
Sure.
Obviously, you can retain some of his deal. I know they don't want to retain his deal for 3 years, but if you give up maybe one of your future first round picks with him, or a future first and a second round pick, to pay the freight for Seth Jones to be out of town.
I think the problem is with the cap going up, though. One of the bigger obstacles to your point, Jimmy, is that, gosh, I just hope he flames out in Carolina. Carolina might have the money to re-sign him.
Yeah, they do.
They don't have a lot of cap issues right now. They don't have any real dead money. They don't have any RFAs to sign. They've got players coming off the books like Taylor Hall, Roslovic, Jesper Fast.
They just dumped Nietzsche's contract.
Yeah, and I mean, will they bring back a guy like Orlov? I doubt it. Orlov is $7.7 million player. Brett Burns turns 40, and he comes off the books. They might have the money to bring Rantanen back. So I guess to your point, we really got to hope that we should all kind of be rooting against Carolina to do well right now. But the time is now. The iron's hot. They have to do something. They need to make a splash. There needs to be a big time player coming in to play with Connor Bedard.
Well, and also, like we were discussing before in the chat, like the Blackhawks as a brand is hurting because they're not on television in Chicago. They don't have a big time forward. Like, the only marketable player on this team right now is Connor Bedard. That's the only guy that draws eyeballs. That's the only reason people go to games. Yes, we're starting to see some of the kids progress, but if you pair like a Mitch Marner or a Mikko Rant, then you have another marketable star, an established star that might get people to, I don't know, pay the $20 to watch it on CHSN. I'm hoping maybe the Blackhawks get wise and go to Victory Plus, which is free to stream, which would be free to stream within the area. So like people like me and Jimmy and Eric would be able to watch games legally for free. While
free and legal. Great.
While Bardo and Andy might still have to pay for ESPN Plus, but you get added benefits. So it's not just like, yes, it's a hockey operations decision, and yes, it's all about making the team better. But Gates said it in the chat. Mark Lazarus has said it before. Like, hockey is a niche sport, and if you're not in front of as many eyeballs as possible, like, you eventually just fade away to obscurity, and that's where the Blackhawks are in danger of going.
Well, they've almost become like back to the dollar bill days, where like the games are just not on TV.
Right.
I mean, that's what it is right now.
Right. So I think
3-1, by the way, speaking of which.
Yeah, 3-1.
Making a big free agent splash would help drive enthusiasm for the team and hopefully get more eyeballs on the team. And then if they can get them on TV or Victory Plus, that's even better.
I mean, there is the possibility that the free agents look at the Blackhawks right now and just go, no, thanks. I don't want to be part of that.
But
I hope not. I hope not. That's
money can if
sure,
Mitch Marner's making $11 million this year. If the Hawks go, we'll pay you $16 million a year.
I really hope they don't do that.
No, me either. But I'm just saying, money cures a lot of ills. Like,
yeah. Well, they recently hired this guy Chris O'Hearn to kind of manage, the cap situation. He's now VP of operations, and obviously he had a hand in this whole Hall thing. But if there aren't UFAs that they're, could there be a chance with Chris O'Hearn around that they might be making some moves? I forgot who said it before we jumped on, that they might make some sneaky moves by the trade deadline. And some players that might be available that are out there that they might actually trade for that you've heard rumors about. Jimmy, number one, who's Chris O'Hearn really, and what's going on here? Why did they hire him? And what is this sneaky talk about the possibility of them acquiring someone at the deadline, kind of a soft acquisition, or what did you call it? Did you call it some sort of term? I don't know.
Yeah, like soft buying. I'll start with O'Hearn. Mm-hmm. He was the former assistant general manager of the Minnesota Wild. His area of expertise is salary cap. He's a capologist. His job is when he was in Minnesota was to keep the team competitive with the insane amount of buyout penalties for guys like Ryan Suter and Zach Parise. And you look at his track record in Minnesota, they have been competitive. That, you know, they've been hamstrung by those poor contracts, and they've still been able to be on the precipice of playoff contention. And if the season this year ended right now, he would, you know, his Minnesota Wild would make the playoffs. Hiring someone like Chris O'Hearn, kind of like the news that the Blackhawks want to get Mikko Rantanen, it signals, I think, to me and every other Blackhawk fan that this team is ready to, at the very least, emerge from bottom three. I mean, I'm not expecting playoffs next year, obviously, but at least look competitive. And instead of just having the mentality of we just need to get to the cap floor, we need to just take on contracts to be eligible. It's okay, how can we save a couple $100,000 here on this contract to get this guy? And how can we it's essentially moneyballing it. How do we most efficiently use our salary cap?
Yeah.
And that's Chris O'Hearn's best attribute. And that should be exciting for Blackhawks fans. It just signals that this team's ready to just use the salary cap for more than just getting to the floor of it. Now, to get to the soft buying, I believe this is like Tony Luffman on the fourth period. He talked today on the NHL Network on NHL Tonight, kind of talking about the Blackhawks wanting to add veteran presence on the short term at the trade deadline. The two names I've heard a lot are Anders Lee and Michael Bunting. I'm not sure how much fire there is to this smoke. This could just be window shopping for Chicago.
Right.
But those are guys that, at least Anders Lee, he's on pace to have a career season this year, even at his age. Bunting has always been kind of a secondary scorer, playing alongside guys most of his career, like, you know, Marner and Nylander and Tavares and Matthews. And now in Pittsburgh, he's been with Crosby and Malkin. I'm going to just go from what I've heard to opinion. That's not inspiring to me.
I don't.
I'm not a fan of
Anders
Lee. I even made a tweet about it today. I'm not a fan of Anders Lee or Michael Bunting. Lee's going to be 35 in July. Bunting, he has one less goal this year than Ryan Donato, and he's playing with Malkin and Crosby. Like, if you have 14 goals with those two guys, I don't trust you to be able to score when you are now on a line with guys like Dickinson and Mikheyev. Like, give me a break. That's not really inspiring. So that's kind of the long-winded summary of the O'Hearn and the fourth period talk today on soft buying for Chicago.
Yeah, that's interesting. I still wonder, are the Hawks going to get into it at all with Vancouver with regards to the whole JT Miller, Elias Peterson situation? That sounds like it's getting worse by the day. In Vancouver, Shawnee, you're shaking your head. Do you want no part of that either?
I want no part of JT Miller. I think he's a ticking time bomb waiting.
Yeah, I don't want JT Miller. I'd love Peterson.
I would love Peterson too, but I would think they would be more apt to move Miller just because of how he's kind of helped deteriorate the chemistry in that locker room. And if he's done that there, I don't want that here, especially with all the young kids. And you're going to bring in a guy who's kind of volatile. I don't like that. Yeah. Also, one thing on Chris O'Hearn, too. Before he joined Minnesota, he was with the Wild, or he was with the Coyotes, and he was the director of hockey operations, the assistant general manager, and VP of hockey operations. So he's familiar with manipulating the salary cap and LTIR and stuff like that, too. He's done it in two places now.
Yeah, that makes sense. Interesting. Wow. Fascinating. Well, real quick, with the current Hawks and the on-ice product, Ethan Del Mastro, who was called up about 10 days ago, maybe was it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Along those lines, yeah. Right around the time we did the last pod, and Wyatt Kaiser is now down in Rockford. Safe to say, Ethan Del Mastro is more appealing on the eyes when he plays at the NHL level than Wyatt Kaiser. Bardo, is Wyatt Kaiser, are his days in the NHL numbered in general at this point? This doesn't seem like a send him down to get a little bit more seasoning. Ethan Del Mastro seems like a more impact player, more impact defenseman. And he's had a pretty good start, really good start.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best thing with Del Mastro is you haven't heard his name, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So, he's played solid. I can't complain there. And as far as Wyatt Kaiser goes, I mean, his days are certainly numbered in Chicago. I don't know about the NHL. Somebody will take a chance at him and
Sure.
try to, resuscitate his career, but it's definitely his days are definitely numbered here, and he'll probably be gone by the deadline, if not sooner.
He could bounce around like Adam Clendenning or something.
He could become Adam Clendenning, or for God knows how, he could become Gustav Forsling for all we know.
Yeah.
I hope not. I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not too. But I'm just saying, look at what Forsling was. I mean, the guy couldn't get out of here fast enough, and then
he washed out of Carolina too before he landed in Florida and figured it out.
Yep. So you never know, but yeah, his days are definitely numbered here. He's kind of fallen out of favor.
Yeah, I mean he's in the last year of his contract.
Yep.
This is it. I don't know where he goes from here. I mean, and having seen him play like 2 games in Rockford, he's not good in Rockford either. I mean, he's on a line of Korchinski, and he makes Korchinski look bad by just being around him. He's cost the Blackhawks an overtime game by basically running into our goalie and causing, Comesso to not be able to get back to the other post I believe it was it Chicago Wild? Maybe it was Chicago Wild player.
Wild. Either Chicago, you merged 2 teams.
Oh, Chicago.
The Iowa Wild and the Chicago Wolves.
I think it was Chicago Wolves. My bad.
Okay.
We were talking about O'Hearn. I had Wolves.
I mean, he's a restricted free agent. They could just sign him for a year. Sign him for 2 years and just keep him in Rockford permanently.
I think they want to probably bring in some people who actually have a future here. So, I mean, you could always find somebody that's that's a journeyman that could be a seat filler, but I mean, I don't even think they're going to waste their time.
He's probably just going to spend
the rest of the year in
Rockford.
Yeah. No, he'll spend the rest of the year in Rockford, and he might be in Rockford next year. No, I mean, you could re-sign him on the cheap and kind of a 2-way contract or something like that, and keep him in Rockford. I don't know.
Yeah, and he's just a depth defenseman. If they go down the line, and because right now you don't have the Isaac Phillips like 4A type guy now.
Right. Yeah.
He's gone. So maybe it's him or Nolan Allen filling that role, because you figure you're hoping next season that Korchinski's a regular in the NHL and that Rinzel is down in Rockford but probably going to come up at some point and play in the NHL. And then you've still got to fill you got Seth Jones. Connor Murphy's on the last year of his deal.
One more year.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we were talking about him getting traded 10 days ago. That seems impossible at this point.
Yeah.
You hope Del Mastro is also a regular next year, and maybe Levshinov is a regular next year.
Yeah. I think Leshinov's not, at least me personally. I don't know, Jimmy, maybe you can speak more to it than I can. But I think he's going to need some more time down in Rockford.
We just need to see him he needs to have a training camp and a preseason before sort of prognostications can be made about what he's going to do next year.
Yeah. I agree with both your statements. With Levshinov, he's progressed. Obviously, he's a far better player than he was like in November. But it's definitely a lot of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. You got to learn how to understand this part of the game. He's getting a lot of valuable experience. He's a top pairing guy. He has been basically since he started in Rockford, but I would be shocked if he got anything more than like 2-3 games at the end of next year, just to give him that like cup of coffee thing, similar to like Frank Nazar and Landon Taggart.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun. And maybe in the 2026, 2027 season, he becomes a full-timer. But yeah, he needs a lot more cooking down in the AHL, and he's making progress. I'm going to say that again. He definitely is. It's coming along slowly. He's making the mistakes that you kind of expect a guy his age and in his position. So give it time. He would have to have the best camp in history to play half the season next year in Chicago.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think he could probably come up, towards the end of this year. You could just healthy scratch TJ Brody if quite a few
still on the books.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it sounds like TJ Brody's probably going to be bought out at the end of this year, so they can just make room for other players. They still are able to buy him out. there's a couple other guys that they're gonna. I mean, like I know this is blasphemy to some Hawk fans that think he's just such a great guy, and he is a great guy. But another full season of Nick Foligno doesn't sound great. Nick Foligno has not had a good year. He just hasn't.
No.
He's great for sound bites. He's great for this is unacceptable, but then he doesn't go out and do it. And I know he is a good captain. He's trying to rally the guys, but he's done. I mean, I don't.
Yeah. The flopping penalty, like getting like a 2-minute into a 4-minute penalty. I think they gave up a goal on that. Like he's just costing them on the ice now with his antics.
Yeah,
it's just not.
He can't be anything more than a fourth liner next year. Like he can't get he has to be next year 10 to 12 minutes a night at most.
Yeah. I mean, he will turn 38 next Halloween.
Yeah. I mean,
is he under contract next year?
He is, and that's where I'm concerned. Like, I mean, he's got 11 goals this year. If he could, he'll end up with maybe 16, 17 goals, which is, I don't know, 16, 17 goals on this team when you're 37. I don't know.
He's got to be buried on that fourth line and nowhere
healthy
else.
Scratched a couple times a week.
Right. Yeah. I mean, even guys like Dickinson lately has been kind of invisible. I mean, Jason Dickinson this time last year, everyone's like, wow, what a steal and great in the dot, having a career year. I mean, he's a guy you kind of forget that he's even on the team sometimes.
Yeah. I think last year the scoring was an aberration. I think that was just lightning in a bottle.
Right. And then, so, I mean, those are guys that are under, I mean, there's a few big names that are under contract next year that are not Seth Jones. Obviously, there's plenty of concerns there. But, I mean, Connor Murphy, TJ Brody, Nick Foligno, and I guess you could throw in Dickinson. Maybe we're not there with Dickinson yet. But, I mean, Dickinson right now is a 15-point guy. He had 22 goals last year. Right now he's on 7. And he's on the hook, I think, he's on the hook for next year at 4.25.
Yep.
So I don't know. There's still a lot of work to be done. And, I wonder, with Chris O'Hearn around, is there opportunities to be creative? And I don't know. Maybe you won't see some of these guys next year. I mean, I don't know how valuable Dickinson is on this team, the way that they're trying to move forward with younger guys. Could he be someone who's appealing at 4.25? At the trade deadline, why aren't we talking about him?
I think he is coveted by many teams. I thought in the Anders Lee report and Bunting that they were saying, or maybe I read it in Wish's article today, but they were saying that teams are calling about Jason Dickinson. The Hawks just are unwilling.
Chris Dickinson. Sorry, Jason Dickinson. I think I called him Chris.
I
think I may have. I don't know. Jason Dickinson.
The rock legend, Bruce Dickinson. The cock and a walk, baby. Sorry. I love that skit.
It's all right. So I don't know. I mean, you could get a pretty decent return. Now, I mean, he'll go on and probably play for a playoff team and do a few really good things. And I mean, but he'd be a fourth line center on a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
At best. And then you'd hear all the meatballs, be like, oh, the Hagel type stuff and whatever.
I agree. It's getting to the point where a lot of these guys who had flashes are just, if you expect anything more out of them than a fourth line plugger role like Dickinson and Foligno, I'll throw in Mikheyev too, because he also is paid like $4 million next year.
They were placeholders. That's all they were. They were bloated contracts to hit the floor and placeholders, because now we're finally seeing the Landon Slaggards, the Colton Docks. We're going to see Oliver Moore, probably going to see Ryan Green, Sam Renzel. Like, we're going to see all those guys after the collegiate season ends and this year. And then next year, you got to figure out who you think is going to be in the NHL roster and then build your team around that. But you're going to, you're kind of weeding out you're figuring out where your roster is going finally after 3 seasons of this. So I think it's Dickinson will probably be a fourth line plugger, like you said, Jimmy. But They've got guys now. They've got talent in the system now. It's not all Lucas Reichel and Nolan Allen as the future and the hope.
Yeah, I hope if Kyle Davidson is getting calls on Jason Dickinson, he's listening. Because that you might, what could you get for Jason Dickinson right now? I mean,
mid-round.
A year on his contract. I think you could get a third.
Yeah.
You think third? Okay.
I think so. I think
retain though.
Yeah, but I mean, you could retain through next year. Only takes one retention spot next year. You'll have 2 more.
Yeah.
He can take face-offs. He has.
Maybe it's not worth it. Then I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
You might just be having a bad year, and then you bring him back next year as third line center. It's not the worst thing in the world. Yeah. I mean, I don't know who's the second line center next year. Do they go with Teravainen, or I don't think Nazar or Teravainen is what you want as a.
No, I mean, I hope there's a couple names that come up in free agency, or they get creative where they can acquire a player. That,
I mean, Rantanen can play center.
Yeah, but
I'd rather see him on the wing.
Bedard's wing.
I want him on Bedard's left wing.
Yeah, and then figure out, man, then maybe there's a free agent center that they can sign, like somebody like a Vinny Trocheck. He's not a free agent, but I'm just saying, like, of that talent and skill.
Yeah, I
said his name earlier, Sam Bennett.
Yeah, Sam Bennett would be the guy.
I like Sam Bennett. I think he'd be a good second-line center for this team going into next year. And he's having kind of an off-season. So.
Does Brock Besser play in the dot at all, or is he just primarily wing? Brock Besser, does he primarily wing?
I thought he played center.
Does he play in the middle?
On occasion.
He did a little bit too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's someone
primarily a right wing guy, but
right wing. I don't free agency. I'd love to. He's someone I would definitely be interested in.
Yeah. And you overpay those guys.
Yeah, and I mean, he could be completely willing to leave town in Vancouver because they could crash and burn badly with all this.
Yeah, I think if you're the Blackhawks, you're just looking at Vancouver like, can I pick up the scraps?
Yeah.
Something's happened. I think 31 NHL teams are watching that situation and going, all right, Rutherford, say one more stupid thing in the media.
Well,
that drives another wedge.
Is he senile yet? Like, how old is he?
I know, but Nikita Zadorov, there were rumors that it was all over Twitter today that they matched what he asked for in Vancouver.
And he still left.
He still walked out the door because it was just such a bad situation.
Yeah.
That kind of worked out for Vancouver, you think about it, though.
Yeah, he
sucks.
Brutal in Boston.
Yeah, I don't know why anybody gave him, what did he get, 6 for 6? I don't know why he got that money.
Yeah.
The one season we saw him here, I wasn't overly impressed. And then they flipped him to Calgary, and he wasn't very good up there. And then he had, a couple good years with Vancouver, and now he's worth 6 for 6. I thought that was a bad deal.
But guys, he's big and physical. He's so good. We need physical defensemen. They're so good. We need to give him $6 million a year. They're so good.
Yeah, Brock Besser's been on the flank with he's been on the wing with JT Miller. So it sounds like he's more naturally a winger than anything else. Any rate, I don't know. The UFA market will be fun. I mean, a lot is going to happen. I mean, a lot's going to heat up in the month of February, and we'll see.
Just wake me up on July 2nd when Mikko Rantanen and Sam Bennett are Chicago Blackhawks.
That would be really, really nice.
And by the way, don't forget, we're talking all about what players they're going to acquire. They're going to have a new head coach too. So
they might, yeah.
They might, yeah. You're right.
Yeah, Sorensen needs to go back to the AHL.
I don't think they're bringing Sorensen.
No.
The AHL coach. I really don't.
Yeah.
Well, they need someone with experience because I don't want to throw stones, but it's clear Mark Eaton's not really a coach. He's definitely just a filler.
Yeah.
They need a guy that can coach young players, and I'm sure that a lot of the coaching goes to like assistants like Klinkhammer a lot. But yeah, it's like I said to open the show, Rockford's kind of sputtering as well. Is
that all on Eaton, or what? So Nazar came up, and then
it's on everything. They've had such a chaotic season, losing their head coach, losing 3 of their most productive forwards, losing their best defensive defenseman, Ethan Del Mastro, and being stuck with Kaiser.
Yeah, losing defenseman, Ethan.
Yeah,
AHL All-Star. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, congrats to Korchinski, an All-Star, by the way.
Did he really? Did he get it? Okay.
Yeah. So Ice Hogs have 2.
Gavin Hayes and right?
No, not Gavin Hayes. Cole Gutman.
Cole Gutman. That's right.
Cole Gutman and Kevin Korchinski. I'll try to
That's the other name. Will Korchinski be a full-timer next year?
He has to be. I think he has to be.
Yeah.
Got into a fight last night in Grand
Saw that.
Rapids.
It's kind of awesome.
Wow.
I think the only reason he's not up right now is because there's not like the minutes for him to play. I think he's got to play. In Rockford, he's playing what, top line minutes?
He's second pairing because they're splitting Levshinov and Korch because they want to give both of those guys a more defensive-minded defensive pairing so that they can thrive in the offensive zone.
Gotcha. I mean, when
Which
Korchinski
doesn't
did
work with Korch because he's stuck with Kaiser. That doesn't make a lot of
oh
sense.
god, that's terrible.
It made more sense when he was with Del Mastro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when he came up for a couple games, he was marketably better than he was last
Much
year.
better.
Just from that time in Rockford, which was huge. So
yeah. I'm looking forward. He's gonna get a cup of coffee at the end of the year. Definitely.
Yes, he will.
We'll see another 4 or 5 games out of him, but I fully expect next year when Rockford has a full roster and they aren't hurting with him gone.
Yeah,
he'll be a full timer. He'll be probably second pairing, I would say.
it's awesome.
That would be great. Yeah.
So the Blackhawks have 5 NCAA players that were nominated for the Hobey Baker to be a Hobey Baker finalist. Now, granted, that list is big, but at the same time, first round pick Sasha Boisvert. That includes Sam Rinzel, who, if you there's a fan vote on USCHO.com. I voted for Sam Rinzel. Ryan Green, Boston University. Aiden Thompson from Denver. And I'm missing one more. There's one more guy.
Dominique James.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys also may win their player of the year in their conference too, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
That's really impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. And Rinzel and Minnesota might be playing a little bit longer in the Frozen Four, as long as they don't play Michigan State the first game.
Yeah, and Ryan Green, BU could go on a pretty decent run.
Yeah.
And the possibility of future Blackhawks James Higgins as well at Boston College. We'll see.
That's my
We'll
guy.
see who they get. Yeah, he's pretty nice. Green is the one I know. I talk about Green all the time. I'm so curious to see how his game will transition. I'm certainly not going to do an Alec Regula and say that's the guy. So, I fell on that sword really hard. But he plays a 60-foot game, and that's really, really cool. And so he's a natural center that plays in every zone of the ice, and we don't have a whole lot of those right now. So I'm just very curious how that looks.
Put him on the second line. Why not? Send Dickinson down the line and put him there.
Sign him right now. Don't even let him
Do it. Come on.
I'm starting to get a little excited, and I know we haven't talked about him as much as the NCAA guys, but Nick Lardis.
Yeah.
40 goals.
42nd today.
42nd. He leads the OHL in goals.
He's ripping shit up there. Holy cow.
Ironically, second is Michael Misa, another possible Blackhawk if they don't have Higgins.
Yeah.
Yep. And he's I looked it up the other day. He's on pace for like 58, 59 because he's basically short of goal a game, and they're at 44 and they have 18 left. So
41 goals in 44 games. That's wow.
Crazy.
Yeah, 18 left. So 6 and the last guy to score 60 because they haven't had a 60 goal scorer in 2 seasons in the OHL, and it was he plays for the Boston Bruins currently. I can't think of his name. I had it, or maybe it was. Yeah, he plays for the Boston Bruins. He had a a curious route to the NHL because he wasn't drafted. He went through the ECHL, the AHL, and now he's with the Bruins. He scored, which if you score 60 goals in the OHL, I think you're kind of afforded a little runway to hopefully make the NHL. Why can't I find his name?
I don't know.
Is it Lysell?
Fabian? No.
Yeah,
No.
First
He was
round.
drafted.
No.
Vladimir Rajicka.
Rosie Rosicka.
Rosie
What
Rajicka.
the Hold on. I was looking.
All right, but Nick Lardis will be a professional hockey player next year. I mean,
Yes.
I don't think he's got more to do in the OHL. I mean, he will finish the season with 60 plus goals.
Close to it.
Yeah,
Close to it, yeah.
If he keeps on that pace, very possible that he ends up with 60. So, I mean, he will at the very least be a Rockford Ice Hog full-time next year. And if he has a really hot start, look out. He turns 20 in July. So he could sign right away and be in Rockford next year. And who knows? You might see him with some games with the big club. Prospect pool is starting to creep up. We're not that far away. We're not.
It's Justin
Bieber.
We're still on this?
Justin Brazeau.
Brazeau, Justin Brazeau.
Yeah, he scored 60
Brazeau.
goals in the OHL. He's the last guy to do it.
All right.
And the last Blackhawks prospect to do it was Alex DeBrincat.
Who's that?
The former captain of the Blackhawks, according to Ray Napiente.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I definitely don't have his Winter Classic 2019 jersey. No,
You see a lot of those around the rink.
Yeah, I think we knocked this one around. There's one player in the history of the NHL that had played for all 6 original 6 teams. And that's Victor Ivan Lynn is his name, Vic Lynn. And there's a current NHL player right now that has played for 5 of the 6 teams. And the only one he has not played for is the Boston Bruins. So he has played for the Blackhawks. So think about a Blackhawk who had some time with the Hawks in recent years. And we've made fun of him before.
Well, I mean, that
does not shorten the list.
We haven't made fun of him, but I mean, there have been aspects of his game that have driven us crazy before, and he's played on 5 of the 6.
I almost said Dylan Secura.
So nice.
He's played for every
one of these defensemen that just pissed us off more than anything.
Okay, you're on the right track. You're on the right track. He's currently playing for an Original 6 franchise.
Eric Gustafson?
Eric Gustafson. Ding
all right.
Jimmy got it. Eric Gustafson.
Good job, Jimmy.
Thank you.
Eric Gustafson has played for the Chicago Blackhawks, the Montreal Canadiens, for the Toronto Maple Leafs, for the New York Rangers, and is now a Detroit Red Wing. He needs one more stop, the Boston Bruins, to play for all 6 original 6 teams. Great trivia. That was a good one. That was
very smart.
Yeah, you should. You should.
I always do. I mean, do I have to whip out my law degree? I like to do it every once in a while.
Do it. But I mean, he's a regular in Detroit, and Detroit is kind of in make or break territory. I don't know what the contract is, but I don't see him landing in Boston anytime soon.
That rebuild is.
Yeah, it's not rebuilding.
It's not. It's kind of plateaued.
It's not.
It's a plateau. It's just a flat line.
Yeah.
It's not going so well.
No.
Well, what did I say in the chat a couple of days ago about the Detroit Red Wings? I mean, sure, we could, trade away everything and really break it down to the studs, but come on, Justin Holl. He's your guy, Justin Holl. Ben Sherratt, come on. Jeff Petrie, you serious? Can't mess up on Jeff Petrie. What about $5.6 million to Andrew Kopp until he's 32? Come on, you got to do it.
Andrew Kopp. Oh,
what about Comfer? 5.1 until 2028. I mean, come on, you can't pass. Tarasenko, 4.75 for 2 years.
What happened to the genius Steve Yzerman?
The Yzer plan. What is going on there, man?
Yeah, the guys.
Like he's had a few misses here. Where are they in the playoff picture anyway?
They were on the outside looking in last time.
Nowhere to be found.
Treading water. Yeah.
But don't worry, guys. He's going to draft in the 13 to 16 range and take another Danish winger that can score a ton, but not do much else.
Well, I got a question. If Detroit doesn't get it together soon, do they become sellers? And does that mean Patrick Kane is on the move?
I've heard his name a lot.
He has a no movement clause though in his contract.
Sure, but he's running out of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's 36. He's on IR. I don't see him sticking around if he doesn't feel like he can make the playoffs.
He's making $4 million. Yeah.
Where would he go? Like,
oh gosh,
the question is going to move his family, and like that's the big thing. Like, are you going to move your family, or because he's got the little boy. His son is so cute in those TikTok videos where he's fist bumping everybody on the way in. So does he want to lose that time with his son, or have his family move to wherever he goes? I don't know.
Well, he's on the IR right now. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what Jimmy.
Ooh, I have a team for him. I have a team for him. Makes a ton of sense.
Columbus.
No, Winnipeg.
That makes a lot of sense.
Winnipeg
Actually,
makes so much sense for him.
yeah.
They have the cap space. They need scoring wingers. It makes a ton of sense for them.
Well, and he also, he's a free agent after this year, and he is approaching 37 years old. I mean, someone will sign him for cheap, but now Hawks fans don't get any ideas. It's not happening. It's not happening.
on,
By the way,
back,
Brandon Saad is not coming back. It's not happening. Brandon Saad.
Come on, Adam Bolquist was just bought out. Bring him back. Come on.
Brandon Saad and Adam
Give
Bogue.
me the 2019 team all over again. It was
Stan is in Edmonton, so it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So Brandon Saad's contract was terminated today by the St. Louis Blues.
He fell off a cliff. He scored 20-something goals last year, or 30-something goals. He is 7.
32 years old and is an unrestricted free agent at the end of January, just like that.
He hasn't
Honestly,
played
though,
in the AHL since 2013.
Yep,
He's going to be Northlands Coliseum or whatever the hell it's called.
He's going to be in Edmonton. It's going to happen.
I've heard other teams are interested. I've heard Vegas,
goals last year.
New York.
I mean, someone's going to pick him up.
Oh, absolutely.
Someone will. I mean,
the guy has literally sacrificed about $5 million because he's basically said, no, I'd rather take a minimum in the NHL than play.
Get me out of here.
Yeah, let me play. I'd take a minimum on a 4th line on a different team. I just want to play in the NHL. Good for him.
Yeah. It was a far cry from when we had him both stints.
Mm-hmm.
When the Hawks had him both stints.
Yeah, but I mean, come on. 3rd time's a charm, right, guys?
That's it. That's it right there.
It's right there. Come on.
Yeah, okay. And yeah, we all saw how that worked out. Andrew Ladd, Christopher Stieg, Johnny Oduya. Those were I'm trying to think who else left and came back. Those are at least 3 I remember.
Sharp.
That's 4.
Yeah. Anyway.
Sharp came back once, not twice, but
still. Same difference. Whatever.
Guys, why are we getting to technicality? Shouldn't we celebrating? I'm kidding. There's nothing to celebrate this. Come on. Give me July 1st.
Didn't Campbell come back for a second tour?
He did. Yep.
He did.
Yep. He came back.
And then he could still play in the NHL the year after, and he only wanted to play with the Blackhawks, and they said no. Well, but now he's like director of player operations or something.
Yeah,
he's in the front office.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they bring back Campbell as a player and then maybe draft Michael Misa and make him a defenseman, they can have a Misa soup pairing. I'm out.
Oh man,
I got nothing else.
Well, on that awesome note, anything else, guys?
I am just praying this team gets better so we stop saying bad jokes to fill the time.
Yeah,
One of these days will be good.
These have been some very long podcast years. These last 3 years, they've been fun. Always love doing it, but man, wouldn't it be fun if your team was good?
Yeah, it's a lot more fun.
It'd be really cool
even if they're not like next year, they'll be better, but they should be more exciting because we're gonna have more guys to talk about, more guys We're not going to be like, oh, they're at Minnesota. No, they're in the NHL playing for the Blackhawks.
I mean, it will not get worse. We know that much. Well,
I hope not.
I'm planning a parade if we don't finish bottom 5. Like I'm starting it on West
See if Bud Light will lock up a bunch of Bud Light for you like they did the Browns. And,
oh man, classic. And then they tied and they didn't know what to do. It was like a technicality.
Yeah.
Well, all right, folks. Well, thank you for joining us. We're in between the second and the third period. You didn't miss anything in the second period. The Blackhawks got scored on twice by Rantanen and Slavin. They're down 3-1 going into the third. Hey, maybe they'll rally. Maybe Carolina will fall asleep. Maybe they'll feel bad for them and let the Blackhawks score a goal. We don't know.
Yeah. It'll suddenly be
before we get out of here, do we want to do the World Cup of Hockey captains? Because I know most people don't care about it, but
sure.
Yeah,
we don't have to. I'm just saying they announced the captains today.
I don't even know who the hell got named.
So before we leave, folks, I would love if Sean Fitzgerald told us who the captains are.
Oh, okay.
For Nations Cup. So let's get.
I look forward to your Swedish team pronunciations.
All right. Well, we'll try it. We'll try this. Well, we'll give everybody a good laugh at my expense. All right. So the only team I'm going to name is Team USA, and then I'll be done. No, I'm kidding.
Boo. No challenge.
I don't even know. I can't find it. Who cares?
McAvoy guy. Bob Uecker, God rest his soul. I can't find it. To hell with it.
The hell with it.
Post-game remarks brought to you by Christ. I can't.
Stop it out.
Nobody's
I know
listening
Charlie
anyway.
McAvoy got an A on his jersey, probably just because the games are in Boston. So there's that. Matthews is the captain, right?
Matthews is captain. I think the big controversy was Quinn Hughes didn't even get a letter.
Wow, what a controversy.
Yeah, wow. Guys are captain in Vancouver.
Yeah.
I think the controversy is more guys are keep bailing out of this tournament that actually want to play.
It's so useless.
I have a feeling I'm going to be on the lookout for tickets all of a sudden. I think people are going to start giving these things away.
They might, because
there is just in the heart of the season, the level of disinterest. I'm sure there's guys who are like, God, we got to go play in this thing now.
They may pay you to go.
Yeah. Like
nice. A seat filler at the Oscars.
But you know what? They're going to give you a month. They're going to give you a month subscription to CHSN, but you only get the Blackhawks.
I mean, seats on StubHub like 2 months ago were like $400. Now they're $100. So
yeah,
if they get into the $50 range, I might take a nosebleed. See what happens.
Ooh, I got the captaincies in front of me. Wow, they are the most exciting.
Could you say them, please?
All right, we got Finland first. We got Alexander Barkov as captain. Mikko Rantanen, future Blackhawk with an A. Mikael Granlund with an A. Sebastian Aho with an A. We got Sweden here. Victor Hedman
that's
the captain.
Yeah.
Matthias Ekholm with an A. Erik Karlsson, A. And William Nylander, A. USA, the best country in the world. Austin Matthews is our captain with Matthew Tkachuk and Charlie McAvoy taking the A's.
They'll get along very well. Yeah,
yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
And old Canada, gotta go with the classic Sidney Crosby, your captain.
Makes sense.
And Connor McDavid and Cale Makar carrying the A's.
Did they have to talk to Jonathan Taves about being captain? Because I know there was in the Olympics the one year. Alex Pietrangelo, not healthy enough to play in the tournament, but healthy enough to play with Vegas every night still.
Wow, Vegas taking advantage of injury loopholes. God, I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Well, Mark Stone's trying to kill people, so.
That was bad.
But he was tripped. A stick hit the top of his skate, and that caused him to dive forward.
Well, someone who skates like Mark Stone, that actually makes sense. Not the best skater I've ever seen in the world, but anyway, yeah, that Heiskanen, I mean, I don't know. Has it been reported what his injury actually is?
I heard it was meniscus.
Yeah.
So, by the way, I'm looking at Game Time, the app where you can purchase tickets, and you can get tickets on here for the championship game for as low as $153.
Yeah, still not.
You can go to USA versus Finland at the Bell Center for $30.
Damn, guys, let's get our passports. Let's go.
It's a short drive to Montreal.
So the TD Garden games are as low as on the 17th. It looks like it's Canada, Finland, $88.
That's not too bad.
It's not bad at all.
Yeah.
All right. This tournament will be a bust, and they'll roll it out again in a couple of years when they don't compete in the Olympics.
Sounds good. All right, folks, that'll do it. Go watch the third period if you have access to watching Blackhawk hockey. And thanks for joining us tonight. Again, we're right in the tough stretch of winter here, and there's not a whole lot of good hockey to watch if you're a Chicago Blackhawk fan. But I don't know. Hopefully they'll make some more shakeups, and we'll get excited for something at some point. We're getting there. Andy Campbell, Andrew Bart, Jamie O'Malley, Sean Fitzgerald, signing off for the night. We'll see you all next week, folks. Ciao.